The acting Attorney General Rosen spent 6 hours on a Saturday in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee giving testimony about what? It's another aspect of how they're coming for President Trump. Whether it's a grand jury in Atlanta, whether it's the Attorney General Merrick Garland, right, coming after President Trump, whether it's his deputy Carlin sending letters out to Wendy Rogers and Sonny Borelli and the great senators and the people of Arizona, threatening criminal action if you're participating in a canvass. They are going to weaponize every aspect they can, because you know why? They fully understand one point. These people are very smart and they're very tough. They understand they cannot win elections of the American people when you go to paper ballots. So they're going to weaponize everything around it. And if you think you've seen their toughest moves, if you think you've seen the hammer drop, we haven't seen anything yet. One thing about this conference and going forward, they've sown the wind and they're going to reap the whirlwind, because the American people are going to demand full forensic audits of 3 November 2020 in every state. That's what they feared. If they had the receipts, it would be totally open. They would rub your nose in it every day. They would show you every ballot. It wouldn't have to be any subpoenas. They would turn the routers over. They say, you not just lost, you got skunked. You lost Arizona, you lost Georgia, you lost these states. All the blue wall that we won in 16, you lost. They can't prove it. They don't have the receipts. So they're going to use every aspect of lawfare, of the media, of the criminal justice system, of everything they possibly can to do what? To thwart the will of the American people. And that's why this effort over at Telegram and what Mike Lindell's done, and the convergence of this now into a national movement. There's no going forward. There's no 2022. There's no 2024. The Republicans say, oh, elections about the future. The future is now, and the future is about 3 November. There's three things in this world. There's three things in this world right now. 3 events. If we get to the bottom of it, everything becomes clear. What happened in the Wuhan lab and who's responsible for it. That virus, number 1. Number 2, what happened on 3 November of 2020. Who's responsible and who's going to be held accountable. And the third is what happened on 1/6. Was it a failure of intelligence as we've been processed and been told? Or is it a failed intelligence operation against the American people? You get to the bottom of those 3 things, you find out who's responsible, and you hold them accountable, and you're going to get your country back, okay? Yeah. And it's going to be the country that was bequeathed to us. It's going to be a constitutional republic that's been passed down for, 12, 13 generations to this generation. That is the calling of everybody in this room, okay? History is going to weigh and measure us. Because of these great patriots, we know what went on, and all they want us to do is quit. All they want us to do is say, yes, we'll get them in 2022, we'll get them in 2024. Let's go change some laws. Let's change laws in Georgia. Raise more money. No, that's the sucker's play. That's the great con. And if you want to see the con, you want to see the scam, just look at the vote today in the infrastructure bill. There is no reason a conservative should vote for that bill. Number one. Here's the con. They can't raise the debt ceiling by 1 penny. They can't spend 1 penny that you don't authorize. Okay? So what they're trying to do now is a 3-card money shell game. And the uniparty's trying to support the Biden administration as it implodes before our eyes. And why is it imploding? It's not just his incompetence. It's not just the radical nature of this regime. It's not just what's the invasion on the southern border, what they're doing to our military, critical race theory jammed in our schools, this debacle, right, with the vaccines and with the CCP virus. The central beating heart is the American people are sitting there going, you know what? The more I hear about it, and I'm not hearing it on mainstream media except on MSNBC that covers it every night, and they covered it every night in their own perspective, but they cover the details of everything that's happening. When people sit there, you go, you know what? I've got a lot of questions about 3 November. I've got questions about his legitimacy. And as people question his legitimacy, his political capital recedes before us, right? That's why it's not going to be 10 new states. That's why it's not going to be 50 new Supreme Court justices. Do not look at the pro wrestling in the foreground that they're trying to get you to focus on. That's noise. This is signal. With no money, they can't do anything. And you are the only people in the world that can grant them to raise that debt ceiling, right? If they can't raise that debt ceiling, there's no $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. There's no $3.5 trillion radical Green New Deal that's really all these social programs wrapped up into one. You have the ultimate power. You have the power on November 3rd. You have the power to get to the bottom of the 1/6. You have the power to get to the bottom of the Wuhan lab, where we've changed all what the world thought about it, right? That it came from some cave 1,000 miles from Wuhan and somehow mysteriously wandered up over the back roads and mountains of China to a wet market in Wuhan. We know that's a lie. We know what happened on 3 November, what they told us is a lie. And we're about to find out what 1/6 happened on 1/6 is a lie. Okay? They cannot stop you, and they fear you, and they will use anything to chop the leaders of this movement, whether it's Donald Trump or Jair Bolsonaro. They will use any method they can. And the one thing they can't stop is a righteous, relentless people that determine they're not going to back off. And so we leave here in the next couple of days. Your righteous indignation is what's going to save this nation.
Well, here's a providential thing.